This is Cult Film Face Off.
Hello and welcome to Cult Film Face Off, episode 57. With me, as always, is Chet Roivas.
Yo.
And I am Nick Leonard. First off, before we start cracking along with this week's episode, we want to say a big thanks to Andrews 198205. That is not a sort code, for suggesting this week's pairing. So, this week we're going to be looking at two films by an Italian giant of exploitation cinema. We are going to be looking at Zombie Flesh Eaters from 1979. And we are going to be looking at The Beyond from 1981, both helmed by Lucio Fulci. So, first up, and ambling towards us, groaning with a shit ton of worms falling out of its eye socket, is Zombie Flesh Eaters from 1979. When a supposedly abandoned yacht sails into the New York City harbour, a journalist and scientist's daughter investigate, only to find themselves in a zombie nightmare. Zombie Flesh Eaters. Zombie Flesh Eaters, Chet Roivas. Have you seen it? What do you think of it?
I've never seen it. I knew of it. I read about it a lot when I was a kid. It's one of the video nasties over here, so I was familiar with it. I'd never seen it. You had, hadn't you?
I had seen it. I owned it when I was going through my phase of just getting hold of anything that appeared on a ban list or anything that had blood, guts and grue attached to it. Then I was all over it. So I owned a copy of Zombie Flesh Eaters and proudly sat on my shelf for many years. The Vipco release. But it'd been a long time since I had watched it.
Does that mean that you don't feel the way you once did about it?
No, I mean, first off, I watched this on an absolutely stunning Arrow Blu-ray. Yeah. I mean, the VHS Vipco that I owned was a pan and scan.
And it was heavily cut as well, wasn't it?
There was tons cut of it, and the whole picture is just squashed.
Yeah.
So watching it now on a big screen Blu-ray transfer, it was just like fuck. I mean, it's just like watching it. Well, like you've cleaned the windows and you're actually watching it because completely clean, and how it's intended to be watched.
Yeah.
So that was great, just to kind of see it as it should have been seen. How do I feel about it? It's a mixed film. It's a film that has terrible dubbing, zero characterisation, tons of abrupt cuts all over the place. But there's some absolute great stuff in there.
Yeah.
The opening is, I mean, there are certain things that you remember, and it's been 15 plus years since I've seen it. But what sticks in your head is there's several really iconic sequences, and that opener is just brilliant. I love the opener in the New York City harbour. I love all that setup is just brilliant.
Has that been in another film? Because I had seen that scene and I'd never seen this movie. So maybe someone's watching it in another movie. Something like that, maybe. No?
Not that I've come across.
Okay,
have you seen the documentary?
No. I saw, hold on, I've seen this. These cops on the boat and the zombie, yeah. I think it must have been playing in another movie, but yeah.
Oh, okay, no, I'm not sure about that. I love the fact, like, the zombie who is there, he's massive, because he's probably eating everybody on the boat. Yeah, so it's a real attention grabbing opener, and I love that as one of the opening scenes. I think it's brilliant. What was your initial thoughts?
I wasn't sure what to expect because, a lot of movies from that era have not aged well. A lot of them are established cult classics, and then you watch them and you just that sort of clout doesn't make any sense today. I thought this was a really, really good film, really good. I think primarily because it's got a really good script, a really simple script. Movies like this, sometimes I was worried. I thought, okay, it's going to try and maybe be a bit self-conscious, or attempt to be subversive in some way. A lot of movies from that era try and sort of They allude to being artistic endeavours when they're not. I thought this was going to be tiresome, but it's really simple. It's really forthright. The script is really bang, bang, bang. Introduce the relative, then the reporter, the obsessed doctor, and then his wife driven to mania. And it's like bang, bang. It moves. It's really lean. It moves really quickly. And yeah, there's no fuss, no distractions. It's just a really simple story, really well told. And some of the set pieces in it, I mean, my jaw was on the floor almost during the underwater scene. I'd never seen that.
No,
I didn't know it was coming. I can't believe they got that amazing footage. I was looking at it like, wow.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's one of the, I mean, on my VIPCO, on my VHS VIPCO, I mean, you know when you've watched something too much and it starts to kind of... Because the amount of times that people would come around, I go, you've got to... And some people didn't have the patience for it because it's kind of slow. You have that attention grabbing beginning, and then it's a lot of kind of establishing the characters and what's happening, and it's kind of like you just want to show people that. Really. And it's amazing, and the whole way that's contrived is great. I mean, this is what like Italian exploitation cinema does well. It kind of like it sees what's really big at the time, and obviously Jaws was still very prevalent at that time, and it's like, well, why not? Let's do a zombie movie but bring fucking sharks into it. It's a fucking genius move, and how the hell they filmed that?
I don't know how they filmed it. I couldn't believe
that bull shark could do some serious damage.
No doubt. And it's got a classic, an absolutely classic horror movie switcheroo, because I didn't even anticipate the zombie turning up, and then it turns up, and I was so involved. I was like, "Fuck it, I'd sooner take my chances with the sharks." Fucking a fantastic scene, and
it's a brilliant bait and switch.
Yeah, it's great. It's really what a set piece. Yeah. Totally breathtaking.
Yeah,
there's nothing fake or cheap about it.
No. It's just so visceral. It's just like, well, this is all happening in camera.
Yeah, really.
I mean,
a classic. I wasn't
and the
ready
sound
for that.
as well, the ripping sound under the water. It's just done. It's done brilliantly.
What a scene.
And just proper exploitation of, you know, she's there for no reason to be completely naked apart from wearing the canisters.
Yeah, I think that's what they were taking the piss out of in the Piranha. Was it Piranha 3D or 3D? No, not 3D. Piranha 3D.
The original
which I thought was a very enjoyable movie.
Oh, I loved it.
Kelly Brook is swimming for ages.
Unnecessarily.
Like,
I think it's all head nods to this film.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think this must have been the film that that started doing the zombie POV, because I can't remember zombie POVs happening in
is there none in the Romero?
I'm not 100%.
Yeah, I
right?
can't think
but
of it.
watching this, I was just like, there's so many inventive POV shots, and there's loads of them happening. And I love that. I think it's brilliant. I think it's just done really well.
I think it's really inventively shot, actually. Perhaps in comparison to the film we might talk about in a minute, which I'll leave that for them. But the way some of it's filmed, I mean, I really like that. There's that sort of to and fro where the zombie's trying to get through the door and the woman's on the other side. Yeah. The status of that to and fro is at one point it's dictated by or illustrated by how much light's getting through the room. I was like, that's a lovely little bit of invention.
I mean, you just think, watching it now as well, like in the original VHS, you don't get the full the splintery wooden spike gouging the eyeball.
Yeah.
It cuts away, and it doesn't. It's just so well executed as a scene and a sequence. I mean, it's just a complete shudder.
It's up there with any kind of effects that you could compare it to, because when I was a kid, whenever you'd read about this movie and what had been cut by the BBFC, because I feel like I read so much about what had been cut, 3 seconds here, 4 seconds.
They butchered it.
Yeah, but they always said the infamous Splinter scene's cut, and I'm like, what's the Splinter scene? The Splinter scene?
Oh, so you had no idea what it was?
No idea. There was so much talk about the Splinter scene, and it used to drive me nuts. I was like, what happened? Now I've seen it, and it is an amazing special effect. Amazing,
incredible. And that's all down to Giannato De Rossi, who was the FX guy who worked on Zombie Flesh Eaters. But this is a meagre budget, but the looks of the zombies across the board are brilliant. Romero zombies, kind of a bit green round the gills. I like the fact that it would kind of very much riff on their previous professions of when they were alive, you know? You'd get zombie Romero cooks or whatever. Whereas Lucio Fulci zombies are decomposed. Yeah. They are genuinely horrific to look at. They're really difficult to look at. They're just their human self is completely eradicated, and you have genuinely got a Walking Dead monster, and they look fucking great.
Yeah, they absolutely do.
I mean, what I think what I forgot about with this completely is that it's very much like the island of Matul is very much like an island of Dr. Moreau really kind of vibe to it, which I completely kind of forgot about that in the mashup of scenes that happened in my head.
Who's playing the drums though? Whenever you're outdoors, there's a load of there's
a lot of percussion.
Tribal drums. I'm like, where is
that guy? Where is that?
There's loads of people playing drums. Where are they? It's a nice touch. It creates an atmosphere. But after a while, I was like, they keep using this same tune. I'm like, there must be a very, very tired bunch of people whacking drums 24/7.
I don't think there's a huge amount depending on the music. I mean, this is a must-see for anybody who's even got a fleeting interest in the zombie genre.
Big time. Absolutely.
It's so influential. You know, it's a must for gorehounds as well. I mean, the gore is really good in this, and it's just it's so much more than. I mean, I think it's quite interesting to look at kind of. I mean, it came out. And it had a bewildering amount of different titles: Island of the Living Dead, Zombie 2, The Dead Are Among Us, Dead Unfer, Des Zombi. Sorry about the pronunciation.
Zombie 2 was the official.
Zombie 2 was the official. And they did that because they wanted to ride on the success of Romero's Dawn of the Dead.
So that was, I assume, I didn't look this up, but I assume
because they called Zombie. Exactly, called Zombie. Exactly. So it was kind of they wanted to pick up on the popularity of that.
I think it's actually, I would never be stupid. I would never make the mistake of saying that this stands toe to toe with certainly that Romero film, but I think it's really authentic because it's as bleak. It's completely as bleak as those movies. So it does feel like a sort of weird offshoot. I think it doesn't sort of do it.
But it also feels a bit. I mean, when that Romero films are more kind of what's going on in terms of political and social context, whereas this film is more concerned about just being a bit more kind of. I mean, there's sex, there's nudity. It's just all a bit more of an adult kind of affair.
Oh yeah, but it's very, very downbeat, and I think
it's very
kind of
downbeat.
it doesn't feel. Most. I'm sure if there are any other examples where an Italian B-movie studio tried to make a sequel to a movie, you'd say that it didn't feel in any way related to it. This kind of does. It's a completely different movie, but I just felt like the overwhelming, intoxicating bleakness of it was very, very in line with the Romero film. So I don't think it's shamed that comparison. It's just I just really liked how simple it was and how memorable it was. It's really memorable. I think
it's still being relevant today when you're looking at the whole zombie pantheon of films.
Yeah.
It's really important, man. I mean, the whole kind of that last sequence when they're battling down the hatches and they're being attacked at all angles and everything. It's like Shaun of the Dead in the Winchester pub. I mean, it's just you're there.
It's a very good film. I mean, I couldn't really. It's a great ride.
I really enjoyed watching it again. It was a joy, enjoying it and kind of getting fucking big kicks out of it as a kid because it kind of just delivered way more than so many of those banned films did that I was so let down by, that just had fantastic covers and funny fucking taglines.
Yeah, right.
This, I kept it there and would, as I said, fucking used to get out all the time and show fucking certain sequences to mates and stuff. And I just love the adultness and the explicitness of it. It was fucking great, and to watch it cleaned up on an amazing print. And anyone who's listening, I would say go and fucking find that Arrow release because it's a fucking beaut. You've got alternative artwork on the sleeve. You've got fantastic documentaries on there.
Amount of extras,
loads of tons. I mean, it's fucking smorgasbord of extras. I mean, there's really cool talking head documentaries with people like Kim Newman. It's a really full package of fucking extras.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and also just the print itself looks amazing. The sound is amazing.
Watching the movie, I was just it completely warrants that kind of treatment. I can understand why it's got that kind of a lavish release because it's just a really, really good film. Really good script as well. Movies like this don't often have a very, very efficient.
What do you think the dialogue was?
Well, it's more about how the stories assemble, and it's kind of ruthless and bang, bang, bang. I mean, I think they got. In my head, I was
because the script, I think, was a bit. I'm not great.
I'm not really talking about the dialogue so much as just how efficient it was at setting the story up and how it did things like the switcher in the water, and then
it really kind of rattles along really nicely.
Yeah, it's good. Hard to fault.
Before we move on to our next film, did you have any shit lookalikes?
I've got one shit lookalike, but I know it's going to mean nothing to you because I don't think you know who this is,
right.
And it's not a great shit lookalike, but one of the two zombies who gets shotgunned in the chest in front of the nurse in the hospital at the end, Belgian Manchester United midfielder Marouane Fellaini.
No idea who you're talking about.
Marouane Fellaini. Anyway, if you see the video version of this, I'll stick a photo next.
Okay, good.
It was a shit lookalike though.
Okay, I've got one, but it's not strictly a shit lookalike. It's just he is the perfect love child of John Thor and Tommy Cooper.
Who's John Thor? Oh,
John Thor, Inspector Morse,
right?
Yeah,
and Tommy Cooper.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And it's perfect, and he's the questioning cop at the very beginning of the film. First 10 minutes.
Tommy Cooper.
John Thor.
Wow. Okay. I look forward to seeing that.
Just like that.
Yeah. Okay. This is a very, very good film. I mean, I'm gonna have to get hold of that Arrow.
Christ. Yeah. Well, yeah. I can lend it to you.
Okay.
I'll lend it to you.
Well, no. I mean, I have to own it. I own a very, very small number of Blu-rays.
Well, you can touch it and I'll take it back.
All right, okay.
That's what she said. Hey! Okay, but own it, definitely. Get it. All right, on to the next. So 2 years later, Lucio Fulci directed The Beyond. A young woman inherits an old hotel in Louisiana following a city... Louisiana? I knew this girl from Louisiana. She didn't like men because she used a banana. Don't keep that in.
Is that a lyric from a song?
Mate, yes.
Oh, is
it's
it?
an old hip hop track. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A young woman inherits an old hotel in Louisiana. Following a series of supernatural occurrences, she learns that the building is in fact situated over one of the gates of hell, the Beyond.
You are Liza, aren't you?
Yes.
My name is Emily. I've been looking for you. Woe be unto him who opens one of the 7 gateways to hell, because through that gateway, evil will invade the world.
Right, The Beyond. I'm assuming you hadn't seen it.
I hadn't seen it, so I went in completely blind. Wasn't familiar with any of the imagery in it. Hadn't seen any of it. So yeah.
Okay.
You'd seen this before?
Fresh. I had. Yeah, it was a really long time ago I saw this, and it was kind of during the same time I watched it in very sort of quick succession. City of the Living Dead, The Beyond, House by the Cemetery. They kind of mashed up a little bit, so there were definitely sequences that I very much remember, but not in a coherent way. But then watching it again, nothing really plays out in a very coherent way in The Beyond. Right. What do you think?
I was looking forward to this because I loved Zombie Fresh Eaters so much. This is an absolute turkey of a film. The cult cachet of this movie doesn't make any sense to me. I think I've heard that Quentin Tarantino is a big fan of this.
I mean, this is a straight down the line, love it or hate it movie, and I found it a really laborious watch.
I mean,
there's a couple of sequences that are good. Definitely. There's a couple of gruesome sequences.
Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah.
that are good. And there's some nice looking, when it suddenly cuts to the blind woman and the German Shepherd, suddenly in that blue expanse. That's nice looking. But as a film, it's... I mean, I've said this before, and I mentioned it in the podcast, is sometimes Fulci does like waking nightmare stuff very, very well, and creates atmosphere. There is moments of atmosphere in this, but it is completely hampered by really bad dialogue, really bad dubbing, and just a lot of daftness. How did that guy fall off the ladder and injure himself? Well, he's high up a house, and he just fell off a ladder.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty easy to do.
Yeah, I mean, I can't stand the anything goes nature of haunted house movies like this. Anything goes, like anything can happen. It doesn't.
Do you know who the librarian was?
No.
Lucio Fulci in a Hitchcock kind of cameo.
Oh, right, okay. But yeah, I just like it. Just everything's meaningless. Everything is basically a prolonged dream sequence, isn't it? I mean, it doesn't.
The whole thing is kind of like a waking dream. I'll tell you what was good. Let's go through the good, and then we can fucking talk about the bad. Right. Yeah, is a really grisly black and white pre-credit sequence, which I think is done really well and it's cut very well. This poor painter who's painted this vision of like hell is whipped by chains, has nails hammered into his wrist, and then he gets quicklime pulled over him. But the gore doesn't look great when it's kind of coming off. I was just watching it going, well, this isn't it. Zombie Fresh Eaters just has every single zombie. It is done really well and done kind of uniquely, whereas that just looked like a bit of shoddy special effects. The plumber turns up, right? I mean, that was a highlight because it was a really good shit lookalike. Oh, God. Did you get anything from the plumber?
I've got no shit. Oh, actually, I've got one shit lookalike, but it was much later.
I mean, this is the guy. I don't actually think. I had to go and I literally had to go and scour IMDb to make sure it wasn't Michael Landon's right-hand man in Highway to Heaven, Victor French.
Oh my God, I can't even picture that guy.
You remember Highway to Heaven, right?
Yeah, but I can't picture anybody in it. Oh, fucking hell. Yeah, okay, that's pretty, that's pretty good. The only one I've got is like really, really towards the end.
I've got one towards the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got like one of the zombies.
Yeah, same here. Leo Rossi.
Leo Rossi?
Yeah.
Is he a motorbike rider?
No, he's one of the guys.
Leo Rossi?
Yeah.
Who's
Leo
that?
Rossi, he's an actor. I'll show you a
fuck's
picture.
Leo Rossi?
You know.
What does he do?
He's been in a million things.
He's an actor?
He's one of the rapists in The Accused. Hold on, I'll show you a picture.
I've seen The Accused. Oh, that guy?
Yeah. Leo Rossi.
One of the guys is one of the zombies. He looks like him.
Yeah, but
In the hospital kind of sequence.
Yes.
Okay. I've got a shit looking like from that hospital sequence at the end. Mm-hmm. Fedor Emelianenko, the MMA fighter, the emperor.
Oh right, okay.
I mean, he completely. Yeah, I mean, this film is puzzling. It's nonsensical. It's kind of absurd. It has atmosphere at times. It's very gory. The dialogue is super banal.
I was surprised at how
The
much.
tarantula scene, you must have hated that.
Yeah, I did. I mean,
how did you watch that?
Covering my face, my girlfriend was standing
you must
behind
have
me
been
going.
in bits.
She was literally.
You must have been bits.
I had my hands over my eyes, and I was every time I glanced, and my girlfriend was telling me, "It's like they're doing this." Oh no, yeah. And she was describing what was happening. So I've got to give it props for that, because if you're an arachnophobe, I can't imagine anything being more impressive.
It looks rubbish.
It does look rubbish, but that whole idea it's kind of like the last scene I ever wanted to see when I was a kid.
I bet.
I never want to see a film where somebody gets dispatched like this. I mean, it does look ropey as shit, but
I mean,
but the sound design, they have these little miniature shrieks.
The sound is effective. The sound is effective because it's fucking nightmarish.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible.
The German Shepherd ripping out her throat's done very well.
Very well. It's weird how it's a kind of a mishmash of very, very, really effective stuff and really bad. But the thing that I thought was very odd about this, considering it's one of those nonsensical films that I suppose is supposed to be in a perpetual dreamscape, but there's so much plot. There's so much plot in it. I was like, it's very slow, very lethargic. There's no urgency. So it's just kind of ambling along. And there's an excessive number of speaking parts too. I was just like, there are so many characters. Just chop a couple of them out and give this. I mean, because it's all none of it means anything. It's needless. It's almost as if they were trying to make it more confusing than it needs to be.
Yeah,
and
you could definitely have lost some. I think losing some characters would have been a good thing. But then you need people to get fucking killed.
True, but it's all for nothing. I mean, the thing. I think the direction has the really fucking annoying air of somebody who thinks they're making great art. Whereas I don't think you could say that about Zombie Flesh Eaters. There's like certain cutaways and music cues and very slow pans and zooms that don't serve any purpose.
Yeah.
It's like Fulci's trying to add the illusion of class, but it ends up feeling like, honestly, watching this film was like watching an Emmanuel film or like soft porn from the 70s. It's like, we're a classy production. No, just do what you do best.
Yeah, I think what a cause for the kind of disjointedness of the production, I think, is that it was apparently, I was reading that it was meant to be just a straight up haunted house movie.
Yeah,
and they
had to add.
Kind of thumbed in the zombie element
because Zombie Flesh Eaters have done really well. Yeah, I'd heard that.
Yeah, it's just not a wholly satisfying film. I really couldn't recommend it.
I thought it was a straight down the line turkey. I mean, I'm surprised.
I think there's bits in there that are done. You know, there are scenes that I think play out pretty well. But I mean, you're talking about a couple of scenes. As a whole, I'm not going to get anything to rewatch it.
No.
The eyeball and the nail's good.
Yeah,
it's great.
I mean, another eyeball scene.
The eyeball. That's the thing.
Scene.
He's like, he does eyeball. He does the decimation of eyeballs better than anybody.
Yeah, and the acid scene was very well done as well.
Yeah, acid scene's good. And yeah, at the end, I was just like, am I meant to feel like an impactful thing about these guys that are fucked?
Yeah, it's right.
Didn't really care about them.
No, I don't care about them.
I mean, the thing is, what it comes down to is that a good script and acting really do go a long way, because without them, you really don't give a shit.
Yeah, I have a very low tolerance for movies like this anyway. I don't think this is a very good example of films in that genre in any case, but the cult following this has got, I think, it's even more pronounced than that of the Zombie Flesh Eaters, I think.
People love this, and people will disagree with what we've said. Yeah. And if you disagree, please, we'd love to hear it. Yeah. You know, tell us why you love this movie, because people do love this movie. You know, we've got comments. People have told us how much they love this movie. Okay, so let's look at some comments on Facebook. Mark Cummings. Oh wow, I couldn't possibly choose between these two. Both are masterpieces.
Wow.
Mrs. Allardyce, these are my favourites. Michael Volpe, The Beyond for Me.
Wow, I mean, better than Zombie Flesh Eaters. I suppose some people just like this.
I mean, it's very atmospheric at times. If you're someone who's just a sucker for fucking like different waking kind of feeling, what the fuck's happening? How's that linked to that? It's all fucking all over the shop and a bit. I don't consider it's worthless or a turkey, because there are some things that work. The pre-credit sequence I think works really well. There's some bits of gore in there that work really well.
I think there are things in it that work.
And atmosphere, like the whitewash hospital. I mean, it's like a fucking nightmare. You know, when we're talking about Phantasm, I was like, there's some nightmarish things that Fulci does well, and these do appear in The Beyond. I just don't think it's a great film in its whole. You know.
I just
in its
like,
entirety.
Just tell me a story. Tell me a story, please.
Yeah, but it's not linear like that.
Yeah, I know. And some people, I think you have to have. Well, I just find it boring. Like when you.
Does it wind you up, or do you find it boring?
I don't know if it winds me up. I'm more movies like this. I just
because you don't know anything like in terms of The Blind Woman and the German Shepherd.
Yeah, an hour and a half is a very long time to be kind of
the plumber, and then the plumber's downstairs, and that the woman turns up being really, really odd. And I mean, some people I think just really get off, and I get that. Some people really like fucking odd.
That's fair.
Right of centre shit that doesn't really make much sense, and you know, it has atmosphere.
It's very, very. It's so different to
Zombie Flesh Eaters.
So different.
Yeah, but Zombie Flesh Eaters is a really tight genre film.
That's what. I mean,
this is like a mashup of Haunted House, zombies, fucking. Is this a dream? Not a dream.
Yeah, I have a very low tolerance for movies like that.
So let's go back to. Let's have a look at some more comments. Mango A Badger on Facebook. Tough one, this. Love them both. Ron Lemming on Facebook. The Beyond, though it would be very close.
People tend to love both.
Yeah.
How strange.
David Garrett on Twitter. 2 films I absolutely love. Grew up with Zombie Flesh Eaters, and the splinter in the eye scene still makes me cringe.
Yep.
It's my favourite film from Fulci. The Beyond is one that every time I watch it, my rating goes up. My favourite in the Gates of Hell trilogy.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
I was wow, not on the same page.
Fenny Leonardi, The Beyond, love, love, love. 3 hearts. Daniel Rodriguez, they are both great, but Zombie Flesh Eaters is something outstanding. My favourite movie of all time.
Wowzers. I can understand that, though.
If you fucking love zombie movies, it's got to be up there, being alongside things like Nightmare City. Because for me, Nightmare City is my favourite zombie movie. Without Nightmare City, you wouldn't have zombies running around in The Walking Dead and 28 Days Later. And the comedy of it as well is the most enjoyable zombie film, in my opinion. Someone please suggest that we do an episode on Zombie Flesh Eaters, and I could just be literally gushing
what to pair with,
my love. Okay, so I mean, well, in terms of picking a winner for this week's episode, I think it's pretty straight down the line.
I was so happy with how I felt about The Beyond. I just thought this doesn't work. It doesn't work. So I mean, I was just nonplussed the whole time. And there are the spider sequence it's badly done, but the invention of it and some of the flourishes, like the sound design, was incredible. I thought some of the gore scenes were excellent, but like I said, I'm not the kind of person who can really stomach films this. Just the kind of anything goes nature, really. I can't enjoy
the looseness.
Yeah, just the kind of whatever happens, and you just sit back and just kind of enjoy it for an hour and a half. I can't abide something that doesn't have a very specific story. But
I see what you're saying about it, and I think there is some very arresting imagery in there, and there's some good there are some good scenes in there. But just as a whole, it's not something I'm going to rush back to. I watched it. I was like, yeah, well, it's fucking so straightforward. Which of those 2 films I prefer. The Beyond is. I'm not ever going to go back to it. That's it. Zombie Flesh Eaters. I'm going to watch that again.
I mean, it's a classic, really.
It
really is a classic. Yeah.
Zombie Flesh Eaters.
Yeah, done.
For the win.
Job done.
Thank you so much for listening. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook. All of our episodes are cut in glorious Technicolor on our YouTube channel.
Also, in case you hadn't noticed, I'm sure everyone has, but when every Friday there's a podcast, then the next Friday there'll be a YouTube video, so it alternates. Every Friday there's something, whether it's a video or a podcast, it sort of alternates like that. Just wanted to point that out.
So put it in your diaries. Retweet the shit out of it. Leave reviews, because they really help on iTunes.
Yeah, anything like that would be great, yeah.
And catch you in a few weeks.
Take it easy. See you later.
Bless.